trying to make a difference, and we need to do that as effectively as possible. And secondly, it's interesting when people talk about, enforcement should be done by enforcement experts, and anti-poaching should be done by anti-poaching experts. And then when we talk about really doing demand reduction, right, people say, oh, let's just talk about action, and let's not have too much theory. But actually, they don't say that to enforcers, and they don't say that to people doing protected area management. There's a lot of theory there as well. And this is a relatively new field in its application for dealing with illegal wildlife trade. So we're trying to get stuck into that, but also move to action. So the deepening influence groups got into that. So the deep dive sessions that should come on. We then had the community carousels and strategy surgeries, which again really important parts of the meeting. Feature those again in a second. And somewhere in between those, we launched a website. We probably had the most ambitious session of the week, which was to get everyone to sign on to Workplace en masse. So I see many of you have done, and some people are already using it and sharing information on there. So thank you for that. It's a tool we will try, but also particularly the new website, and that's been referred to a lot, the updated website. So it's great to have that launch yesterday. We had the partner perspective session first thing this morning, and then looking at innovations. We had Toby's talk, really good innovation, particularly about how to deal with, let's just call them tricky behaviours, things like corruption, illicit activities, things people don't want to talk about. And then we've had the return to the deep dive. That's only just been summarised again today, so I'm not going to labour that point. And then the masterclasses. So. Which again, I'm hearing those went well, and we'll have more reflection on that in the evaluation, I'm sure. And then sharing the deep dive outcomes, and then just now we've heard about a couple of the other tools that are in development, the decision tree, the MOOC, and really through this to think about our commitments and follow-up actions. So well done with all that. Now. I thought it'd be good to think about how our behaviour's been doing this week. I'll move over to this side now. Because I need to look at that computer in a minute. Who's recycled this week? Who's got things in the right bins? And how? Yeah? You're confident? The information? This was actually one of the best recycling advice displays I've seen. So this is right here, behaviour change. We have one in our lovely green David Attenborough building office in Cambridge, and it has a list on each bin. Nobody understands which one's which. Where does a crisp packet go? A chips packet, for people I think call them chips in it. It's got silver on the inside, it's plastic on the outside. Which bin is it going? People know where to go to. That was great. I also discovered what may or may not be a behaviour change campaign in the gents' toilets here. So I'm still not sure, some of you will have seen this, but I'm not sure how to interpret each one. So on the left-hand side, I thought maybe, my first reaction was this person who seems to be maybe female, I don't know, I don't want to jump to conclusions, peeping around, that maybe this was some sort of looking out for any bad behaviours or anything like that. Did you wash your hands, anything? I don't know, some social pressure. The other part, I'm less sure about the behavioural consequences of it. But certainly distracting. Anyway, nudging is part of everyday life, and actually, if you read the book Nudge, you'll find that urinals feature heavily on the forefront of behavioural science, and it's all to do with a small fly. And I think it was invented in the Netherlands, but apparently it helps with targeting. Target your message, that's the one. Thank you. I told you it's there for a reason. Just a bit more reflection. Community carousel, I thought that was a really rich part of the meeting yesterday. It was when we really broke into smaller groups, but actually people speaking very practically about the projects that they're doing, their practice, and how they get ideas from each other, and how people learn from them. And it was really interactive. I went around a lot of things yesterday, and they're great. I even have evidence if you doing that, and the enthusiasm and action around that. So, and of course, that's not something we've reported back on or in detail, but hopefully some really good information came through that, and it's something we can share. And the more we share these things on them through the tools we have, the better. We also have this amazing summary of information. Where's the one going? He's hiding there.
It's around there.
Drawing in the corner. I'm going to focus on He'll be on the Oscars list in a minute as well. But I was impressed having been through the first Behavioural Change Conference. Not only are these good pictures, with one exception. Up here there's one that... but apparently I can use it for my Facebook profile. Thank you. I'll see if anyone recognises it. But actually the stories in Modern Signatures are really good. Actually, I think the summary of really what we discussed is a real skill, and so this is a real resource, and so are your creative butterflies. But I think capturing that in a very visual way is really helpful. A good summary, so a good way to remind yourself of what we've been through and the work we've done together in this meeting over the last couple of days. Let's translate our theories into action. I know that slide's there for a minute. So that's I think the big thing to take from here. We do need to keep thinking about theory. There's more we can do better there, but we also need to be applying this into action and also seeing if our action really makes a difference. And that's great to have that emphasis on measurement and evaluation here as well. Okay, I am going to pass to Gayle, who's going to pass to Karen, who's going to pass back to me. So this is going to be great. You ready?
Okay, so we started the day yesterday by having a look at some of the objectives for the group. We set these for you and put them at the top of the agenda. Thank you, if you just... Thank you. Very good. Very good. So this particular one was about showcasing best practice. Lots of other lovely words in there, but across the two, this was about increasing knowledge, introducing perhaps some new topic areas that you may not have worked on before. We were quite ambitious with the working group themes, but these are practices, as we talked a little bit about yesterday, that are quite well established in other spheres of behavioural change application. So we just wanted to introduce them to the group. Some of you are already experts in these fields, but many are not. And I think we really kind of achieved a lot of good dialogue to help us understand where are we with our insight and what can we do to help each other understand how to translate some of this theoretical foundation into more practical action, as Steve just said. So on the second one, this was a bit more about how do we build our relationships and connections and shared experience together. So complementing the top one, which is about essentially things to know and to learn about and to be inspired by. This one was more about how do we get to talk about these things together and get to know each other. And certainly from my experience of listening to you all and just picking up some of the kind of vibe across the room, it's fantastic to see such a diverse body of people, experiences, backgrounds coming together and really getting to grips with this issue. So congratulations for managing to sustain the energy levels across both days really, really well in this regard. So in light of the time, I just thought we'd do a bit of a show of hands. Who thinks they've successfully achieved their top objective? So what sorts of things did you kind of come together to learn about, fresh ideas? Who learned a fresh idea over the last couple of days? Show of hands. Okay, very good, excellent. And who met somebody that they were inspired by and will try to keep in touch with? Oh, look at that, excellent. Okay, that's good. We've succeeded here, well done. There'll be a more in-depth set of questions in the evaluation form, but for now, just huge thanks from me. It's been really, really great to meet you all and talk to you about your various experiences and key things you want to know more about, so I very much look forward to keeping in touch. I'm going to give you a little bit of a sense of next steps as well. So traffic will, of course, as we talked about, be picking up on the various commitments from the deep dive working groups. Great to have that synthesis today. In terms of the tools and products, we've got a really rich set of suggestions now, I think, as well for the MOOC content. So we'll keep in touch with you about that. Hopefully all of you are signed up for the newsletter. This is probably the key way that we'll send you information. But please do also have a good look at the relaunched and revamped toolkit. It looks fantastic. We will be putting all of the presentations from the speakers, including from the community carousel that happened yesterday, up onto the event page. So please keep in touch on that as well. And the decision tree as well, we had some suggestions to think about the name. If anybody wants to send me a really good name, I'll talk to Jamie about that and see what we can do. Sorry? I'll think about a prize.
Give a prize.
All right, there'll be a prize. I'll give you Pester Power. There's a board here that says Pester Power on it. A very good concept. There you go. We'll give you that. Okay, yes, that's all from me. Thank you very much. I'm really pleased to see most of you achieve your objectives. Congrats.
Okay, so it's your turn to make a commitment now. So I have got some triangles this time, some triangles. Some of you already have them, some of them I'm bringing. Do you know where I took this triangle from? This is a quiz. Where did I get the triangle from? No, the visual symbol of the triangle is in the room. It's been with you since day one. Yeah. So I took it from the word change there and the change wildlife consumer aspect. So really what we want to be talking about here is change. So although, you may say you've achieved your objectives, it would be quite interesting, I think, to hear from you what you're going to do as a result of being here. So, I've lost my remote to my remote stealers. Yeah. Okay. So, what I'd like you to do is take a triangle. On the back, there's also name and address. It's a postcard. Yeah? It's a postcard. So, write your name and address on the back and write your commitment on the front. Yeah? So we don't want something that you already planned to do before you came here already. Yeah, so we don't want Monica to write, oh, I'm going to do, register everybody for the newsletter, because she's already done that while she's here. But we want her to write something as a result that she got. It doesn't have to be big, it can be small. But I'm going to follow up on an email to James, or I'm going to do this. Whatever it is that you're thinking that you will do as a result of being here for the last 2 days. Okay? I'm bringing you guys in, sorry. The more specific you can be, the better. Anybody need a triangle?
Oh, yeah. No,
say like your activity could be, I'm going to follow up on that. What I feel is he's really willing to go with that structure.
No, you keep it for now. I'll give you the next. And based on the fact that I now know that 70% of people kind of cheat, I hope you're putting the right address. Yeah. Don't put a fake address. Because we have secret cameras watching who puts their wrong address.
Karen. I thought you were being even clever about this symbol actually, because it's the Greek delta symbol, which means change. So you asked us to use change. Was that not the thinking behind it? Was it just chance?
It was.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. That's my assumption, but I didn't ask. I didn't ask the team that. I didn't ask the team that designed it. Yeah. But that was my assumption.
You
Yeah.
get the bar of chocolate.
Oh, do I? I'll share it with them.
Okay, once you've all written your commitments around the table, just take a couple of minutes to share them. A couple of minutes to share them with each other at the table.
That's you and me.
So sorry.
They mentioned 1, 2,
No,
3.
that's three.
We're overachieving. More activity with new contacts. Bigger. Okay. Mine is pretty.
That's good. You're going to do that then?
Yeah. So we've already, we don't really know, like Shim, Chitra, and myself, we don't actually know how we're going to do it exactly, but we know that we want to share public learning with everyone that we can reach. So we've already prompted the learning and development management business. Because it's quite.
So once you're finished, you can just tell the story of what you've written on your card.
Because supposedly only one person is allowed to do that. Yeah. Because you have to really justify that. Okay, why should we send 3 of them? We can only send 1.
Yeah.
And we were like, but we really want to train our kids, you know.
Not all 200 are working on this.
But I think like behavioural change you can apply, you know, to anything because essentially people are the cause of issues and they're also the solution.
I guess I've done it in India, I've done it in Sri Lanka. When you have kids.
Maybe hand them in. I guess we must.
And by default, you are using number two, they got the manual, they are supervisors. Not different subjects. And they start commenting on the audience. Not commenting on the audience.
So 2 more minutes to share your commitments.
That's why
Okay, once you have shared your commitments, you can stick them, like you did the butterflies, on the right-hand side around Imawan's drawing. Please don't stick on the blank flip chart because he's still drawing. He put that there to reserve his space, yeah.
We don't have one yet. No, but it's live, right?
Okay, once you've stuck your triangle, if you could come and sit back down, and we can take the photographs and stuff later. We just tried to close up. Okay, if you could just sit down for 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. We have a couple of closing remarks and some announcements. Okay. Okay, so just to give a few last words of thanks, I'm going to hand over back to Steve again to close.
Thank you. Okay. First, some really good news. I hear that Samir's found his phone. Well, someone else has found his phone. He's not listening, but... You found your phone?
What was the question?
You found your phone?
I think the phone is being brought to me right now.
Okay. He was sent a picture of his phone, so someone obviously took his phone for ransom, but he can't disclose how much he paid. Okay. So my last role for the meeting now is really just a lot of thanks. So I won't pretend not to be looking at some notes for this, because I don't want to miss out important people. But so firstly, our working group leads. Get ready for some clapping. Done a lot of wiggling already. But Jamie, Sonia, Sarah, Toby, Samir, Nora, and Megan, and those who reported back today on behalf of the groups about ideas, learning, guidance, and action. So big thanks to all of that. Also, to the community carousel leaders and our strategic surgeons and their anaesthetists, if they really have them, we don't know, but anyway, thank you all for your. Also to the masterclass leads, Eugene, Nathan and Chris, thanks a lot to you for all that wisdom and some probing questions and answers. Thanks. This is a sort of thanks in advance because not everybody's here tomorrow, but particularly to Steve Menzies, Prim and Matt, Sean and Lisa for the training tomorrow, which I'm sure is going to be really good. But thanks in advance to them from all of us. Okay, so sincere thanks again via Megan to USAID for providing the financial support that allowed us to organise this meeting. And also, as an aside, but also very important to those others, I mean, certainly for traffic, I can say support we get from GIZ, Polyfunds and EU for some of their imports to this meeting. But I think it's also important to note that I am aware that many of you are supported by projects and funding and donors who support your engagement on demand reduction work and also support your engagement in a meeting like this. So I think thanks to all of them, because without those resources, you wouldn't all be here as well. So thank you to all of those who've supported us. Okay, it wouldn't be possible without a fantastic team of so many people in the background. So I'm just going to go through that and we'll pass at the end. So SoTalk for all the work they did on branding, installation, the toolkit, to Game Changer, that's Nadine and Reed for their work on the film, photo production, report write-up, which we'll see later, dealing with the traffic team. B from IUCN for support with registration and a lot of other things to keep us going, and also the fantastic facilitation team, including Emma1 for diagram, he's hiding in the corner again. Excellent graphic record, and of course to Karen for expert provocation, process management, and actually shaking us up a bit. Right. And all as just on traffic colleagues, including the teams in China and Vietnam for their work, both supporting many partners, organising sessions such as the community carousel, and those on partner feedback. And the colleagues, I'm not going to name, but also colleagues back in Cambridge, and our Wildlife Traps project lead, Nicholas, who did a lot of work, even though they're not here to get us to this point. But especially massive thanks to the core team, and particularly, where are they? Kyo, Monica, Marcus, thanks for everything you've done and ensuring we're able to make the most of being here and also make the most of enjoying this conference. So thanks to you in particular. And also, I have to say a special thanks to Gayle, although she hates me for this, but I will say that my #1 action that's on the board right at the top there is making sure that Gayle has a rest after this meeting. She deserves one, and I'll make sure that happens. But she led this effort from start to finish, really, and deserves a day off sometime. Well, I've promised it now in writing. It's no small achievement, and she did it with a style and a smile. And congrats and sincere thanks to all of the people in the staff team who made this work. They really should be proud of the work on that. Thanks, Gayle. And finally, thanks to everyone. Thanks to all the input, the ideas, the energy that's gone into this week. No doubt. Well, I know there's one more bit of work for you to do before you go. But the community of practice, really, for being here, for interacting, for keeping this energy going, and also making sure that we drive forward to actually do this work well, but also do this work so we really make a difference for what's become, and what we can see is a major conservation challenge. And actually by doing this well, by really hitting demand, taking the pressure of demand out of the market can contribute to the wider effort to deal with illegal wildlife trade. So thanks to all of you for being part of this community and for everything you've done this week. And in particular, thanks in advance for everything you can do after this week and the follow-through. So well done, everybody. So, that's it from me. I'm just going to pass over to Karen, who's going to give you a final little bit of work to do, and then offer you all a drink.
Okay, so there is an evaluation form for this meeting, which traffic would really like to get your feedback on. It's online, yeah, and you should have had the link in your emails. So if we'd like you to spend 5 minutes on it now, if you don't mind. And then afterwards, actually, there is a reception, some drinks in the Modena Hotel Bar Garden area. Everyone is invited. So if you fill in the evaluation form, you get a beer, basically. If you don't, no beer. Yeah. Because we know who's going to register. If by any chance you have problems logging in, we do have a few spare paper copies, but we're trying to streamline it so that it's all going on the online mode. But if you really can't do it because you don't have a device with you or whatever, please put your hand up and Monica will bring you a paper copy.